The enormous variety of fish and shellfish available at Billingsgate Fish Market is a constant source of inspiration to Gordon and to his colleagues Marcus and Angela.
This is a really nice crustacea and coquillage stand, and the interesting thing about all these buckets here is everything's all left out naturally, nothing's packed away into all nets. It's very fresh, and the most important, of course, everything's closed, everything's very, very sealed. Never buy coquillage with the shells slightly open, they're firm, and you can take 2 kilos, you can ask for 300 grams, which is nice. These things here are torpedo oysters, we know as, in French, fin de terre, and they're actually from Oban. And the shell's in lovely condition around the outside. They've come from a very famous farm in Oban, and the weight of the oyster is full of juice and is very well protected with all this wonderful detail around the outside. And the secret of opening these is just here. Inside here, where your knife inside there, just release the muscle and that will release the shell. Sometimes, maybe at home you make the mistake of entering the oyster from there. The shell's too brittle to go in from there. As you can see, we can snap it with our fingers. That's the most important place to enter when opening an oyster, at the hinge, and it just releases the muscle, which then open up, let some air in, and it'll be a lot easier to take out. Angela's the dab hand of opening oysters. I think she used to open about 3 an hour when she first started. Was it 3 an hour or 4 an hour?
It was 1 an hour.
1 an hour. It's something we don't use a lot of in this country, coquillage, shellfish. I wish we could use more. Availability is not difficult. There's an abundance of coquillage available in the market today, but we just don't use enough of it, unfortunately. You must have used a lot.
We use a lot in Paris.
Paris.
Yeah, we use a hell of a lot. I think it's very difficult, and it's not coming up from the coast as much, I think.
No.
I think that's the problem in London. It's getting
Also
it out.
the preparation. I don't think a lot of people really know how to prep it properly.
Plus
It's complicated before we started. It's quite
But it looks
simple.
complicated,
Yeah.
it's not, it's very simple. This is beautiful fillets of haddock, which have come from Aberdeen. And here we have a lovely fresh fillet of cod, which is also from the north coast of Scotland. And I mean, these are the fish that you can find ready, easy available in any supermarket throughout the country. Cod we use more than haddock. Haddock we tend to use more for mousses.
Yeah, soup.
Soups.
Very rarely use it. I mean, you've not really used it much, do you?
I did in the beginning, back in the early days, yes.
Yeah.
Back on £14 for lunch, yes, Marcus. Even though you think I'm
Haddock's
sport
quite
with
popular.
turbot and basil at the time, I do use haddock.
Cod's getting quite expensive now, isn't it?
Cod's very expensive.
It's been very popular now.
It's amazing how 3-4 years ago, cod used to be the sort of cheap man's fish.
Fish
Now,
fish, wasn't it?
cod is on par with sea bass, is on par with turbot and brill, and sometimes can be found out to be the most expensive fish in the market because everybody's using cod.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, beautiful cod fillets like this, you could make a beautiful baked cod. Brandad. Haddock, this is lovely, smoking this, grilling it. It's actually got the skin on as well, and the scales have been removed, so therefore you can caramelize the skin, beautifully grill it and serve it with some seasoned butter.
The cod deep fried is probably one of the...
Deep fried cod.
One of your favourites.
Yes, Marcus. No, but at home, I mean,
Sweet.
but say we got a dinner party on Sunday, you got some friends around, and you got 8 people. Cod is nice. The most exciting thing about cod, of course, is the fact that it's a large, easy family fish that can be utilised for between 8 and 12 people at a time. You don't have to individually portion it. You can have wonderful whole fillets. Very good. So how long have they been in there?
23 minutes.
Ready?
20
Is there any specific time that you cook, or?
Crabs are about 25 minutes to half hour.
25 minutes, right? And in there is just salty water, is it?
It's just ordinary water, like tap water.
Tap water.
Yeah.
Very good. And then from there you just put them out to cool down.
Yeah, cool down and I get taken out and the quarters to the customers or whatever.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you cook the crabs, lobsters, whelks.
Scampi, whelks, winkles.
Ready. Cheers, Nick. You can see how excited Marcus is to be here because this is where he actually came from before he worked at the aubergine with me. He worked here for 3 years cooking off the lobsters and the crabs and the scampi. Look how happy he is on his face. Marcus is going home. When we arrived, we looked at the stock they're cooking the crabs in. Marcus said, is it a court bouillon they're cooking them in? Because it's not, they should be. But if I mention court bouillon to these guys here, they'll probably think I'm taking the mickey again. So it's just court. You probably think of the time they appeared on Crime Watch, court. But court bouillon is what we cook our crabs and lobsters and our shellfish in, which is water, vinegar and vegetables and wine. But here it's just normal unsalted water. This here reminds me of one I caught last weekend.
Yeah, right.
So, hello mum. Look what I caught in the back garden. This is a fish that is very rarely used again in this country. It should be used more often. Very, very popular in France. Pike. And these ones here, that's zander, which is also from the pike family. Very popular in Germany, very popular in France. Italy, they're very popular as well. But here, it's not really classed as a sophisticated fish, so unfortunately, again, they always seem to bypass it in the domestic kitchens in this country, which is very sad.
Yeah, they're dogfish.
They're catfish. These are catfish, freshwater catfish, and you can see they're just actually still quite live. And these things go huge, humongous size.
Really?
In some of the freshwater lakes in this country, they're known up to 80, 90 to 100 pounds in weight. Huge. But this fish here is the most exciting here because it's very rare we get to see fish at such good condition like this. These are sturgeon. And commonly known as the most difficult fish to fillet. And obviously very famous, as you know, for its caviar. And look at the details on his mouth, underneath there like that. Amazing fish.
Why is it difficult to fillet?
Well, it's just the bone structure. It's
Not-
like a double
there's nothing-
H, works
really?
twice as hard as tuna. And so it comes down and across twice.
Really?
So you've got, you know, like 4 different segments. And it's true that if there's sturgeon caught off the English coast in this country, the Queen has the first rights. It's the Queen's fish. So she has rights to that. Roast monkfish tail sat on a beautiful bed of boulangere potatoes. We have this horrible imagination of boulangere potatoes with onions cooked in the oven for 6 or 7 hours and completely pureed. This is a very modern, exciting way of having boulangere potatoes. Potatoes that have been cooked with confit, some beautiful vegetable nage, and set in a cutter for presentation. And it's cooked on top of the stove with some stock and butter. And again, the boulangere potatoes, the essence of a proper boulangere potatoes is to absorb that stock and impart flavour without overcooking the potato. So this is lethal weapon 3. This is slice your finger off time. Please be careful. This is a Chinese mandolin, and that's why whenever you go to Chinatown, you always see them with knuckles, but they're not knuckles, the way their fingers have been sliced. Be very, very careful. Potatoes against the side of the mandolin. I'm using my palm of my hand. I'm not going down like that. I'm not cutting my nails. I do that on Sunday. Be very careful. Palm of the hand, potato, firmly against the mandolin. If you slip, you only slice the palm of your hand, not your whole finger. Be very careful. So just down, like so, keeping the hands and the fingers all the way back. When you start to feel it get to the bottom, don't be brave. Costs about 3.5 pence potato, throw it away. Again, down, very thinly, fingers out the way. Start to feel your palm of your hand close to the blade. Again, leave it. That can be used for pompuri. Mashed potatoes is not going to go to waste. Speed up a bit because that's the way we normally work. Again, nicely sliced. Potatoes into a bowl. Confit, as you know, previously used before in the series. Confit, nicely chopped very finely and cooked slowly with olive oil, nicely seasoned, into the potatoes. Be generous with the confit because that is going to impart masses of flavour. Nicely seasoned, And again, a nice coat of salt. And then wet, don't drown, but wet your potatoes with your nage. And this is a lovely way of cooking potatoes for vegetarians because it's not a meat stock, it's not a fish stock, it's a vegetable stock. So we're just going to submerge the potatoes and the shallots inside the stock, open them up. And this is very important. We didn't wash the potatoes, we just peeled them, cut them with our cutter, and then put them into cold water. If you wash the potatoes, then you can remove the starch. By removing the starch, then the potato starts to break down a lot quicker, becomes almost soggy. And we need a starch content within that potato to help stick this together in the cooking process, and that's very important. Here I have wonderful 3.5, 4-inch pastry cutters. I'm going to sit that inside a non-stick pan. Underneath there I have a butter paper which has been lightly greased. Potatoes taken out of the stock, just a few at a time, drain them, and then just go round nicely, like so. And then again around. We're just going to build this almost like a classic pomana. Stop there. Once you've got one layer on, touch of shallot confit again in the centre, and then again, this time, your spiral, go around the other way, and very carefully, just slotting those potatoes around, like so, mixing the stock and shallots all the time, so as these potatoes are beautifully glazed with the shallots. As you can see, they're not too thick, about 3.5 to 4 millimetres in thickness. And then, again, finally, on top of this one. And it may look slightly high, but throughout the cooking process, of course, the potatoes are going to break down. We're going to have this wonderful pomme fondant stroke boulangere potatoes. It's going to absorb all the stock and sit nice and high. Right. Finally, touch of shallot, again, inside, like so. And then pour your stock inside the potato. It's obviously going to come out, this cutter, but don't worry about that, because we'll keep on napping those juices inside the potato. Onto the stove, bring up to the boil, and then put some butter into the stock to help make this wonderful boulangere potato glossy. Butter around the outside, like so. And then up to the boil. Once it's come up to the boil, cover with a butter paper and just leave on top of the stove for about 8 to 12 minutes. The potatoes will start to break down. It's important you bring it up to the boil, otherwise they're going to take a lot longer to cook, and of course if they take too long to cook, the outside will become overcooked and the inside will be raw, and we want this wonderful even cuisson throughout the potato. And when I say boil, it really means bring it up to the boil. Now the potatoes are boiling, we're just going to spoon that stock back inside the cutter to keep the potatoes nice and moist, because we want to impart the flavour. We want to have a nice, succulent, glossy potato. Butter paper on top, each one, just lightly pressed down, and then we're going to pop those into the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes on a very medium to hot heat. This is a 2.5 pound monkfish cut into 4 portions. A tail that's been trimmed again, as previously shown. We have removed excess bloodline, the sinew. That's very important. We're going to be roasting this on top of the stove in hot olive oil in a non-stick pan, seasoned with Chinese five spice and salt. 50% Chinese five spice and 50% salt. And we're going to really seriously coat this monkfish in the seasoning, and really coat it, because throughout the cooking process, whilst we're sautéing this monkfish in olive oil, we lose 50% of the seasoning. So you may think at this stage, God, that's going to be too salty, or how can that take so much seasoning? But no, it's important to really seriously cover it in its seasoning, let it absorb all those spices. And just the smell, it's so fragrant, it's delicious. And then finally, a nice coat of pepper. Again, rolled throughout, nice and fine, the pepper milk. And really make sure that monkfish takes on all the seasoning. Okay, and almost clean your plate with it. Don't be scared. There we are. Non-stick pan, olive oil. As we know, monkfish holds 35% of water. It's imperative that we cook at a hot temperature. We want to have a lovely caramelized skin, a wonderful dark colour to offset against the beautiful white boulangere potatoes. The garnish is going to be some asparagus and some sauté lardons. We need the lardons to be crispy, just to garnish and sprinkle on top of that monkfish. Olive oil smoking into the pan. It's important we have a quick seal around the monkfish completely in order to prevent that water from coming out, seeping, causing this horrible, soggy, textured skin of the monkfish with all those spices. We want those spices to be crispy. We want it to absorb into the white flesh. And when we slice it, you'll see this wonderful, dark, coated skin on top. Throughout the cooking process, baste your fish. Treat it with respect. Show it proper respect by basting, keeping that surface incredibly moist, keeping the herbs on top, incredibly crispy, and hold the fish at that temperature. That's important. Now that we've sealed it throughout, it's nice and brown on the outside. Maintain that heat. You start turning that heat down now, it goes soggy, has a very insipid taste. The herbs become dry on the palate, and we need that crispiness on the outside. So maintain that heat and continuously baste your monkfish with the olive oil on top. Once it's sealed throughout, the fish has taken the herbs, it's beautifully caramelised on top. Both ends are sealed as well. We've been basting it for the last 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to place that on a butter paper and into the oven. Butter paper in the centre and just slide the fish onto that. And finally, before it goes in the oven, just another baste. And then into the immediate hot oven. For about 3 or 4 minutes. The garnish around the outside of the asparagus, some wonderful sautéed smoked bacon lardons, and that's going to be finished with a very fine, light red wine sauce. For the lardons, it's crucial to have a very, very, very hot pan, cut into battens in very, very hot heat. So, one thing we should never do is season lardons. 80% in there is salted. Never ever season a lardon. Hot olive oil, very, very hot heat. Bit of colour on the lardons to get this nice crispy bacon flavour. A lot of chefs in this country blanch the lardons beforehand. I don't like blanch them personally. Why blanching something? You're adding water. By adding water, it's becoming very difficult to get crispy. So I prefer cooking from raw. Very important, maximise on the crispiness, and you don't have this horrible boiled effect. So, lardons, nice and crispy, turn it round. This is a bacon from France called ventrèche. It's been beautifully smoked, it's lined with crushed black pepper and then smoked for the second time. It's a very exciting bacon to eat. Unfortunately, very expensive, but as you know, they say in this trade, you are what you eat. So now that they're nice and crispy, we've rendered down all the fat, we've got some colour on them, I'm just going to take them out onto some Kleenex paper, just to drain off that excess fat in order to maintain the crispiness. And we're going to finish the monkfish with the smoked bacon lardons and sprinkle them on top. The potatoes have been in the oven now for about 7.5 minutes. As we know, a classic boulangere potato is a wonderful fondant of potato cooked with onions. As you know, we've done confit shallots. Remove the butter paper And on top here, I want to see some colour. I wanted to see some beautiful caramelisation taken part in the oven, browned on top, and this wonderful, absorbed, delicious potato underneath. So back in the oven for about 3.5 minutes, just to get that final crispy, golden brown effect on top of the potatoes. The monkfish has been in the oven for 3.5 minutes. I've turned it, so 2 minutes on each side. It's now nice and firm. It's incredibly tender, very succulent in the centre, very moist in the centre, and that's the important part. The herbs have taken very well. They've been beautifully caramelised, and we're just going to take that out of the pan and leave it on the butter paper just to rest, just like you'd cook a piece of fillet beef or rump steak. It's important to let it rest, to let the fat, to let the stock, to let the spices absorb throughout that wonderful white flesh and almost self-marinate itself now and cool down, ready for slicing. Sharp knife, as always, and just straight down in beautiful medallions. You can see it's nice and moist. It's incredibly tender. It's rested. We're just going to sit that on top of our potatoes, go around and leave those juices inside that container to get nice and moist. Then from there, generous sprinkling of your lardons on top of the monkfish, and then very nicely place your asparagus, which have been cooked in the nage and then very finely glazed with butter and just nicely seasoned. And then very, very carefully slide off your cutter with your boulangere potatoes. This is finished with a very simple red wine sauce, which has been made with fish stock. It's going to cut the richness of the potatoes, enhance the flavour of the monkfish, and we're just going to very nicely sauce over the top of the monkfish, and you can see all those juices running out of the potatoes. And that is a wonderful roasted tail of monkfish served on a bed of boulangere potatoes. Delicious.